It started, I think, in the late 1980s, and we were going through a transition in our department, computerization basically, and we were looking at electronic charts quite seriously because we were reading all the development, especially done by the Canadian Hydrographic Service. So we saw the opportunity in 1992, the international conference, and we said, that is a time I think we should start before it's too late. And as you know, during the 1992, there was a barrage of technological change. And the technological change came from actually from offshore to onshore. I remember when I was studying in Plymouth in the 84, 85, and we were saying, if only we had GPS. So we saw computerization, technological change necessary because my officers were getting old. They were then 40, and we were thinking to ourselves, in another 20 years' time, we cannot be carrying battery, transponder, setting up. There's a need to change. It's not only instrumentation to our computerization, but we also change the design of our vessels so that our older officers, when they reach the age, they do not have to go down steps. So we had a real look at the entire system. And that's the time where I say, electronic chart is the way to go. And it was also part of my Navy background, in which in the 70s, I felt that there must be a better way than just plotting position on paper. There must be a way in which you can plot where you are going and where you are exactly, rather than history. And that's where we started getting an interest in participating in IHO conferences. This is really interesting. I guess we knew that there would be a transition from paper to electronic chart. But the problem was, how do we get there? So in our discussion at IHO level, we were getting nowhere in the sense that we were not getting the regulators involved, IMO. And that's why we felt that it was important to engage in the IMO activities and trying to contribute. For example, SOLAS Chapter 5, I think, if I'm not wrong, Regulation 9. We were late night in IMO. I think Robert was there at the time as well, redrafting to make sure that hydrographic services get a spot in the SOLAS Convention. And that was quite exciting. And the next, I think, achievement and excitement was, how do we get electronic charts going? And there were a lot of naysayers in the IMO. And you know who they are, always saying, we need a paper chart. How are you going to produce? When and how much coverage can you get with electronic chart? So we were working for many years trying to find a solution. Then one day, we started this program called The Shed. And we said, unfortunately, raster information, raster chart was the way to go to populate, increase the population of electronic charts worldwide, the shipping routes. But we said only on condition there's an interim solution. The longer term has to be a vector solution. And finally we agreed, and IMO, we push with the other states to make sure that, okay, raster can be used as an interim solution, including paper chart as a backup. But the longer term was vector. And we were very happy when IMO decided first to adopt the performance standard, but more importantly to make this mandatory. And I think that's an achievement for the hydrographic community. It was a real challenge at the IMO to get it going. I think the future challenge for you is how to attract talents into the community. We can't possibly just let it go because everybody's fighting for the limited resources, and especially good people, talented people that have a passion in what they do. Using technology is only one way. At the end of the day, you need leaders. You need leaders with vision that transform and who are able, I think importantly, to remain relevant. So how do we remain relevant? If you look at where we have gone in terms of paper charts to electronic charts, we have moved from being producers of charts, distributors of charts, to now just producing of data and distribution, and the equipment that uses the data is not really our strength in terms of IHO. Our strength is in producing quality information. Then you say, where do we go with it? How do we make relevant? The next 50 years, the next 100 years, where do we go? In the sense that, for example, MSDI. Why are we so involved in MSDI? MSDI is one of the areas where I think will make us relevant. Relevant because there'll be a lot of users, multiple users. Even users we today cannot think about, tomorrow we will be there. But what is important in all this is data. And we have the strength not only to producing good quality data, but also to display data. So like say, we move from a two-dimensional charts on paper to three-dimensional. The third and fourth dimension of it will be hydrodynamic data. In terms of not only able to tell you how much water you have, but how the water has changes. For example, sand wave movements. With the next generation of electronic charts, I think that's where we are going. But more importantly, I think the challenge and direction for the IHO is it would be analogous to the ocean, the potential and the strength of the energy. The ocean has a lot of potentials which we haven't harnessed. And in terms of energy, you see what the energy of the oceans can produce, tsunamis as well. We are waiting for the next tsunami by IHO. And I think we are well positioned where we are going, our engagement with the Hydrographic Office, with the stakeholders, and with the international organization. And I think let's be that ocean, the IHO.